Well, there wasn't a lot of offense. I think he definitely had a good opportunity in the third off the rush with Jack. Um, he's going to finish some of those. That's the one thing I do like. He has the ability to finish plays. Then they play a lot. They play against good players. So when they get opportunities, they need someone there that can finish. And Barbie's done a great job with that. Um, and now it's Pav's opportunity. So that's the one reason he's been put there. Biggest reason. He'll just have to learn to play against top pairs, right? Because that's what Jack typically sees. Even though we're at home, they'll find a way to. They might not get their lineup matchup, but they'll usually get their deep pairs. So that's good for him. It's okay for him to go through some. Right now is a little bit of adversity. The puck's not going in like it did at the start of the year. That's fine. You're going to have to find ways to contribute to the team when that's not happening, because he's a guy that we feel has taken a step and should help us down the road in crunch time. So go through a few of those reps now and see what it looks like. So hopefully he does. Goal scorers need goals eventually. Sort of makes them tick, so hopefully he doesn't have to wait too long.
What's the basic learning how to play against top pairs? Effort?
Well, they're bigger and they're stronger, so you have to manage the puck first of all. They're gonna take it from you easier than others because they're gonna close gap. Usually top pairs are good at gap control. They're stronger. More experienced guys, so that probably means a better stick. So everything they do is a little bit better than what you typically see. Then you'll get some that'll get going the other way in a hurry too. So not only do you lose your offensive opportunity, but now you're maybe giving something up at the other end. So there's a little bit more of that. A third pair might be able to separate you, but then they can't make the next play, right? So you're not having to worry about getting back as quick, and top pairs are able to most times do both. Yeah, he's getting there. We had a half practice today, so not ideal for his kind of game preparation, but it's good for his individual being around bodies for sure. So getting there.
What are the benefits of having Joel Ward watching from upstairs in the first period and come down?
Well, he'll get a look at forecheck situations. I mean, that's his area, some ozone stuff in terms of what's available. Are they rimming out every time? Are they using their weak side D? So he should be able to radio down to Dom, part of that. So during the period, we should be able to make adjustments quicker. What face-offs plays may be available coming out of our end through the neutral zone. That's another one of his areas. So he'll have a game plan for that after the first period may be different from your pre-scout. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Teams will sometimes change up how they forecheck if they're sending too hard or one hard, so that may affect what play you run accordingly. So those are certainly a couple of areas. Any general information you may have that he'll pass on, usually to the assistants, unless there's something that I'll ask or demand. But typically it's okay, guys. Here's what we see, and they'll huddle up and hopefully get it to the players and have some meaningful impact later on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, because the same situation may not present itself, but usually it will.
You've done that in the past, right? Have one coach up top.
Here?
Yeah.
Yes, Mish did it. He might have been up for 2 periods the first year. I can't remember, but he definitely did it and then came down. Everywhere, even in Boston. I remember early on, I think that was Jay Pandolfo's role. Most teams, I shouldn't say most teams, I don't know anymore. Some teams will use their goalie coach to do that, or a skills guy, whoever they happen to have. In this case, we use Wardy.
Bruce, you remember that game last night, tweaking your lineup to get you guys up. Then you make tweaks and tweaks. Do you go into the game going, this isn't working, this is what I'm going with, or do you make that determination on the fly every time?
Some of it we tweak the tweaks and tweak them ahead of time, the tweaks. I like the way you phrase that. Sorry, Ghosh. I would say last night was more pre-planned what we may go to because of the situation. Other nights it's timeout on the bench. I don't like what I see. I'll jot down some lines, and then between periods usually say, okay, we're going to go to these ones. Sometimes it's in game too, but usually not the whole lines. It's a period adjustment. On the fly is usually maybe one player. If I want to send a message, okay, I'm going to double shift this player and sort of But the major line changers, usually after the first period, if I don't like what I see offensively, or usually not defensively, Ghosh, because I think our guys are fairly committed in that area. You're going to have nights where it doesn't go your way, but generally they are. So I'm not always worried about that, unless there's a matchup that we really hate that night. That seems to be happening a lot, where we want a better defensive center. We might bet that. But in general, it's usually if there's not a lot of flow in the offensive part of the game.
Last night was more predetermined, is that a word?
Well, I'll tell you what was predetermined. Lisinski's playing right wing to start the game. He's a natural center. Could I, if that line or that thing's not going, are we better with moving him into the middle? He has provided some offense in the middle in both Henderson and in training camp for us. So that's his natural position. Schwinn has been here longer. His natural position is center. So him going into Nick Waugh's spot seemed like a natural fit. For whatever reason, I don't want to get too much into that. I decided to go a different direction. Put all the young kids together. Give them a little talking to about some energy level and get out there. And I thought they responded well. And, Hurdle playing with Pearson and Colasar. Hurdle played lots of shifts with Waugh and Colasar. That's his type of line, big, heavy line. So I didn't think it was taking away much from his strength either. And getting the young guys, like I said, sometimes them all playing together. No one defers. They just play hockey without worrying about, I got to get the puck to this player or that player. They just play, and I thought they did a better job in the second half of the game than they did the first, those three.
You mentioned the word energy. When you're going to see both Waugh and Barbershop, is that maybe an underestimated part of what you're missing is energy and physicality from?
Well, physicality for sure from Barbie. He can change the course. And a team like Vancouver that likes to forecheck, they've got some guys. Sherwood's finishing a lot of his checks, so it's good to match those. We certainly have guys that are still in the lineup do that, but that's what Barbie can bring to a game in a hurry. And people know that. They know when he's out there that, if he decides he's going to drive through you, then you better be ready for it. Nick certainly can do that, maybe not at the same level. His is a more puck possession down low, physicality. So yeah, we do miss a bit of that, and that's where a guy like Schwinn, and we've even talked about it. Okay, he's trying to find his identity in the National Hockey League, and he's trying to hang his hat right now, which he should, is on a solid defensive player. We need you to be solid defensively. The offense we have in the room, build that part of your game slowly over time. And I think he's done a great job. He's a plus player without scoring a goal. That tells you right now that he's not out for a whole lot going on. So he's on part of the penalty kill, but maybe bring, if the offense isn't there, some physicality, a second element, build your resume. So that's what we've talked to him about. Lisinski, it's too soon yet to say, okay, you need this or that. And Holtzy's done a better job defensively too. His numbers aren't where they are goal scoring wise that he would like. He'd be the first to tell you that, but I've seen him eat a number of pucks now every night in a shooting lane, blocking shots to try to keep it out of his net. So he's trying to do those things. So that's what where we're trying to instill in those guys. And part of that is energy. It lifts the bench when you have a big block shot or make a good defensive play. Because they know these guys aren't out. They're not paid here to be high-end goal scorers. They're not power play guys, at least not yet. So that's a different type of energy that's maybe not as noticeable to the eye as a big hit, but guys see it.
Is that your normal approach with younger players who are maybe breaking into the league, work on your defensive team first and the offensive?
I think it's the easiest thing to do without taking away from their offense. I think it's hard to come into the league as a young player and get to your offensive game quickly. And the simplest reason is most of the time they're still not men yet. So it's harder to be in those physical confrontations, the net front battles, the puck possession plays. In time and space, I think every NHL player can make plays. You've seen that. When you have time and space. How do you get time and space? How often do you get time and space is the challenge that they learn that coming out of junior college, they got all the time. Sometimes it was because they were better than everybody, and sometimes because they played 20 minutes a night, and sooner or later it would happen for them. Now you're playing 10, 12, 14. How do you manage that? So that's why the defensive part of it, help the team win. Okay, that's the phrase I use all the time with these, help the team win. How do you help the team win? You keep the puck out of your net, do your part. We rely on layers with our defensive system. So, start with that. That you'll feel good. At the end of the night, you win a game 2-1, you're not in the score sheet. Yeah, I played 12 minutes, I did my part. So I think there's value in that over time, and that's what's happening with Schwinny, right? He's on a first-place team. Not that he's playing every night, but he's helping us win. So there's there's a little bit of comfort and confidence in that. Now, eventually, let's grow the offensive side if that's in you. And with him, we didn't know much about him. Holtz, we've seen it. So I got to do a better job there getting out, and he's got to do a better job finding his way offensively. But yes, it's easier to do the other part than the offensive part. Now, some guys are naturally just come into the league, but who are they honestly this year? I'll throw that out to you. Who's come into the league as a young guy this year and is dominating the NHL as a young guy? Like you can go through a lot of different teams with younger players that had expectations or fighting through it. It takes a while. It's not just, it's everywhere. Kiprasov, maybe? Would he have been the guy that came in quickly? Celebrini's a guy this year, okay, good one. That's found it quicker than most. But there's the young kid in Anaheim we've seen a few times that's Philly traded, right? He's still searching, but now he's found a role there. So I'm not being disrespectful. I think it's Gauthier. So, but I remember him being a high pick. I think Bedard's going through a little bit now. The guys know that you can't sneak up on anybody. So it's a tough part to develop. So good on Celebrini to be. Will Smith, not as far along as him, right? So that's just tougher for those guys. So if you can go out and help your team win and check well and then slowly get your confidence, and I think that's the best way to do it. And I think it's not the best way, it's just the most likely path, right? It just seems to be the way it works.